Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get happy with Dr. Marissa, get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon, broadcasting out of the Burbank UBN Go studios, and then every Saturday at 6, and soon in 2021, Friday drive time, prime time at 3 on my CNBC NBC syndicated channel KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on a plethora of platforms from iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, 32K podcasts, Ustream, and then a whole host of other ones that I won't bore you with. But basically, what I'm telling you is I'm everywhere splattering more hope and happiness because this show has no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words. No Kardashian talk at all, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And I am delighted to tell you that today is my 451st consecutive week on the air. And I'm so grateful. The YouTube channel has over 218,000 views now. Thank you for your support. Thank you to everyone who has been an integral part of this thing that blew up and started with Tony this many weeks ago. And I'm so grateful. This is my 8th year on the air. And next week will be my last week with this beautiful man. And I wanted just to give him a lot of credit right now because my guest is also a good friend of his. And I just want to tell you, Tony, that I love you. I could not have done this without you. And I wish every blessing in your life to continue and with the UBN Go station. And I'm honored to have been part of, I think I'm the oldest host on, maybe, well, Damona maybe too, but I'm just so grateful. And I wanted to say shit to you, Tony, this time, because I know you're going on vacation. You won't hear it next week. So I am inviting you to find all of my past shows, whether it was with Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter, to Marianne from Gilligan's Island, to Marianne Williamson, to a whole host of New York Times bestseller. I'm so grateful to have had so many amazing people, Corey Feldman, blah, 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 half the cast of Happy Days. So please do keep it tuned here. And I am so delighted to the second last show. Next week will be all my best of, and I'm going to put together all of those that I just heard or I just gave to you. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a fellow UBN Go host who we've been friends. She wrote a beautiful review for me on iTunes. We've been friends for 8 years, I believe. And she is blowing up the TV screen, blowing up People Magazine, BET, you name it, she's been on it, to come and play with me about an important topic during the pandemic, which is safe sex is a little different of a term now during the pandemic. And that guest today is Damona Hoffman, and she is a certified dating coach, radio host, and TV personality. She was a finalist for iDate's Best Coaching Coach of 2014. She's named one of the top dating experts in LA by datingadvice.com and has made hundreds of media appearances on NBC, Fox, Animal Planet, Sirius Radio, Women's Day Magazine, and more. She's a guest speaker for Match.com events, a published author, a writer for the Huffington Post. Boy, I have not had enough coffee. J-Date, How About We, or I'm getting nervous about talking about sex on the air, and numerous other sites and publications. Her radio show and podcast, award-winning podcast, Dates and Mates, is a top-ranked show on Stitcher. You can also catch her on FYI Network as the dating expert in their new series, #BlackLove, which premieres December 8th. Without further ado, please welcome back to my studio, Damona Hoffman. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. Yes, a lot of memories between us and between UB on Go, and we were there at the beginning together 8 years ago. So yeah, I've been doing Dates and Mates for 8 years as well, but not quite as many weeks as you consecutively. I did take some time off to film #BlackLove and A Question of Love, my next series, and those are done. But now I'm here with you, and I'm excited.
I know, I'm so excited too, because it's funny. I was talking to my accountant and I told him what I was going to talk about. And he's like, oh, I need my daughter to tune in, because this is truly one of those, you put your dating on hold maybe for 30 days because you think it's going to be back in 30, and then it's 60, and then it's 6 months. And, I've been taking over and under bets because I love to bet. No, dollar bets on when this is going to end. And, I go back to Fauci, him saying 2022, if people follow. So then I thought, you know what, we need an expert to come on and talk really about realistic, what's the best way? Because yesterday I got asked out by a 21-year-old. When I was in line for takeout. And I told him that I would give him an answer after I talked to you on the air. So
did he get the digits? Is he following you on Instagram? How are we connected?
Well, we're not. I have his number to text.
Okay.
So that's the verdict.
Okay, we can make this work.
But I've had you on. At least, I think I've had you on twice. This is a third time,
this is the
right?
Third time, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of your belligerent, clients who's not really a client. I loved watching that sizzle you put together of the woman who was like ticked off at you and what you were saying, that she got up because she was saying, I want to marry a man with money. And then she got really pissed off at you and she left the room and slammed the door. And I remember I paused your sizzle and I went, well, at least I didn't do that.
Yeah.
With you, but I have not slammed the door on you. So
that did happen. It doesn't happen often, but that did happen on BlackLove. I get in there and I push some buttons. That's my job. And especially, it is reality television. That's what I'm there to do. But ultimately, no spoilers. Ultimately, it did work out in the end. So I'm excited to be here to help you navigate this. But I can give you the advice.
Yes. I may not take it.
Take your advice. Take my advice. You're not using it either.
Exactly. So let's start. Let's rewind for a second. How did you get into this whole area of your certified dating coach? You've been doing this for many years. You're a well-known expert. I know a lot of experts who are not in a relationship, but you are one of the few who actually have a relationship, and you think your husband's cute and successful relationship. So what were some milestone impetus for you to even enter this? Was it from a bad relationship or?
It was from a good relationship. The one that I'm in right now. I was actually a cynic. I was a cynic about love for a really long time. I was never the girl that had a date on Valentine's Day. I never had a relationship that really went longer than I want to say 6 months. I was one of those, everybody's into the attachment styles now. I was one of those avoidant personality attachment types.
Okay.
So I was just like, oh, you're not for me. I'm going to reject you before I get my feelings hurt. Forget about it. And I was also attracting the absolute wrong kind of men. I was attracting men that didn't value me, appreciate my time, see me for who I was. I was working in casting in television at CBS, and a lot of times I was dating people that I couldn't tell if they wanted to be with me or if they wanted to be with my job. And at the same time, I was teaching classes for actors and how to market themselves and brand themselves to stand out to someone like me, to someone who could give them a job. And at the same
How
time, I
interesting.
was realizing the parallels between what I would tell actors about their headshots telling their story and what I needed to do with my dating profile pictures to get noticed by a different caliber of man. And once I started to adapt those techniques that I was teaching actors towards my online dating experience, I ended up meeting my husband and had such a completely different experience in being in a relationship with him than I ever had before. It completely transformed my life. And then people would come to me and say, well, I tried online dating, it didn't work. And I polished their profiles. And then I would get a call, I'm getting married, I'm having a baby. And I thought, wait a minute, maybe this is something that people actually need. And I have a strategy that can help them navigate through it.
So who was it, him that cut through the cynicism? Was it the experience with him, or did you do a little self-talk yourself to?
I did a lot of work before we met. I was working with a coach. I did everything from life coaching to feng shui to counseling. I really had done a lot of work on really being my best self. It had nothing to do with the relationship. I was a cynic really about everything. And I came from a home where my parents are, first of all, they're from very different worlds. My mom is Black and from the projects in Detroit. My dad is the son of Russian Jewish immigrants. And they were from completely different worlds. They ended up divorcing my senior year of high school. And I just didn't have the model for a successful, functional relationship, really. So I had to do some healing on my own to even be ready for this relationship. But I feel like a lot of the work I did to sort of shore myself up and make myself whole made it so that I was not looking for a relationship to complete me. I was looking for someone who, you know, we could both come to the table 100%.
And that was what I wanted to get you to say, and I'm glad that you said it. So what is the fundamental, what you have to have before you even go looking for a relationship or are open to relationship is that fundamental balance center that you don't need anyone to complete you, but it is a desire to augment what you already have. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And it's also dating from a place of wholeness rather than dating from a place of fear or need or momentum, really having clarity. And that's the thing that I still find is foundational for all of my dating coaching clients. We have to get really clear on who they are and then also on what they need in a relationship to be successful.
So just to make this interesting, so I'm your client. I think we did this before and I failed miserably. I think I'm a little better now. So we're going to see if this, you know, this is the third time's the charm. So I feel like I am very happy, 88% of the time, if not more, with me, right? My life, who I am, what I love to do. I love my work. I like my company. I like, you know, I basically love my freedom of choice. I love my freedom of activity. A little different with a full hip replacement, but you know, that's temporary. So when I say I don't want to have a relationship, that probably isn't accurate in the sense that the last time I think I was a little more jaded with you, and it's just like, I have no time, I don't want, da 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 da. And I know that some of that was protection. Some of that was definitely some unhealed stuff from my husband and the divorce. But is there, especially now during the pandemic, I have every reason to say, no, thank you. Right. I don't need this. What for women, and there are a lot of women in my network who are similar. Maybe they've been married, they're divorced. They really don't feel like they want a relationship. Give me a commercial to not to convince me, but what would be the upside of still trying to have a relationship when there's all of this around you? Is there a reason to have a relationship? I mean, you can't even really cuddle because unless the testing and all of that. So I guess I'm looking for that light at the end of the tunnel that isn't that of an oncoming train.
Well, let's put the COVID element aside.
Okay.
And I believe it's completely possible to find love in COVID. In fact, I just did a Dates and Mates episode a couple of weeks ago with a couple who met on Bumble back in March or April and are still together right now. I had a client who got married in the middle of the pandemic in August. I've had many of my clients that have connected with someone and are dating someone exclusively just this fall alone.
In person?
In person.
Okay.
In person. And I'll
not
tell
on
everybody,
Zoom. All right.
well, it begins on Zoom, but I'll give that process in a second. But okay. I want to address your question initially of convincing you why you should be in a relationship. And you might not like my answer, because my answer is I'm not going to convince you in a relationship, because I think that's actually not a strong place to date from. Mm-hmm. The thing that makes my clients successful is the clarity that having a relationship is one of their top, probably two or top priority right now. Not necessarily for the rest of time, but right now I feel a desire to be in a relationship. I see the benefits of a relationship, that I could have someone who will be with me romantically. I have someone who can also support me emotionally. I have someone I can ride this pandemic out with, whatever it is that's driving you for that. So I think probably since the last time that we were that I was on this show, I've also evolved and expanded my view as a dating coach. And really, I want to meet my clients where they are, and I have expanded my definition of what a relationship looks like for each person. Some people are looking for a monogamous, committed relationship. Some people are looking for companionship. Some people aren't even looking for an exclusive monogamous relationship when they listen to my podcast or come to me for help. And I am okay with all of those options. All I ask is for you to be clear on what it is that you want. Because if you do want that relationship, this is what you just explained is a very common thing for a lot of my clients, and why they haven't moved into a relationship yet, is that they haven't made it a priority. They have very full lives like you do, and they are getting the love from their career, from their family, from their activities and the other things that fill up their life. So their life feels very full, and it feels like, well, why would I go through all of that process if I don't know what the outcome is going to be? Because it is an unknown.
Right. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering why we're talking about relationships, it's because we are talking about sex, romance, and dating in the pandemic. Is that an oxymoron? So I have a beautiful friend and fellow UBN host and certified dating coach, Damona Hoffman, who is here helping us decide, one, if relationships are for you, and two, how to do it safely during this pandemic. And I'm Dr. Marissa, and you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. So I will then again say to you, as I do, my life is a forking open book. Obviously, this show, I pretty much lay it all out there. So help me process. So before yesterday, I would be augmented by having a relationship with someone who we could watch movies together or binge things together and laugh with each other. I love a great massage, which you can pay for. But, there's something about, affection, physical affection, someone to bounce ideas on, someone to cry on their shoulder. Now, I get almost all of that except for the massage. Well, I pay for that, but not lately. But I get that kind of comfort and camaraderie from friends and from family. I used to tell people, you have to have a romance because you just can't get that from family and friends. There's just nothing like that butterfly feeling. But I've sort of talked myself out of it. And then yesterday, when I'm standing in line and we're starting to chat, and he's super cute and he was very direct, and he said, so, do you have children? And I said, I have two daughters. One's out of college, one's still in college. And he goes, are you single? I'm like, Jesus, we're like speed dating here in line getting Chinese food. And I said, I am. And I just shot back out. So are you? And he goes, yes, I am. And you're beautiful. And I said, how old are you? And he said, 21. And I said, normally I would say, you're too old for me. Just as a joke. But I didn't say it. Because I usually get this, what? But so I just said, well, I am ageless. And he goes, you do look really young. And I said, thank you. And then it was, I'd love to take you out for dinner and maybe a movie. And at the time I'm like, what? And then I felt something that I have not felt in a long time. And that's that little, oh, this is kind of, it feels good. Like that little bit of lightning jolt, in part south that I have not felt in a long time. So, I mean, my head's like, please, this is your child's age. You, what the fork are you thinking? But I immediately pushed it aside. And then I stopped and I said, you know what? I'm going to tell Damona about this. And just, is that a sign of me being open to a relationship? Age difference aside, I'm just trying to figure out what the best mindset is for myself in this time.
Well, it sounds like you got a little taste of the magic, and I love the magic. And a lot of people tell me, oh, you can't feel the magic online. And since I have a lot of my clients, like 40% of relationships are starting with a dating app right now. So in pandemic times, probably even more. But once you get offline and you're in person like you were, it's the same. You feel that magic. So I'm thrilled to hear that that it's possible now. It's possible for you to feel that again.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes to just sort of open the door for what could be. Mm-hmm. And even though you probably don't think it, the way that you described the conversation, you actually were being a little bit flirtatious, and you were
what
by saying, are you? And sometimes it's like the inflection in your voice, it's the body language. There's so much that goes into somebody reading your intentions. Mm-hmm. But it's probably the fact that you had been closed off to it. You weren't thinking anything of it. Mm-hmm. He's 21, so you're thinking, well, this isn't going anywhere. So it let you be a little bit free.
Yeah.
Right? With your responses and just see what happened. And it took you in an unexpected direction, which I think is amazing.
Yes.
The thing that I have my clients do when something like this unexpected and magical happens is I try to, once you have gotten clear on what your desired outcome is ultimately for your current relationship goals, I try to separate the individual interaction from the ultimate outcome. Because if you're like, okay, well, now that we're flirting, like, wait, do I want a relationship? That's like 6 steps ahead.
Okay.
So all you need to know right now is you have one decision. Do I want to see this guy again? Do I want to just explore that? And I think, again, I've opened up a lot in my parameters. I think, I mean, I don't know how old you are. You look fabulous to me, but I think,
Ageless.
look, you're ageless. If you want to just see what it feels like to be with someone who's 21, then I think that's okay if it is ultimately in alignment with your dating and relationship goals right now.
Well, what the heck could be a relationship goal at this point? You know, one, not just age withstanding, but I know that's 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 feet. Sorry. Ahead of the steps. I knew this was going to happen. But, you know, I'm the one who tells my kids all the time, just have fun, just relax. You know, it doesn't have to be a big deal. Just have fun. And my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, tells me the same thing. Just have fun. It's like, I don't know how to just have fun. I don't know how to stay in this next step. I'm like 55 steps forward, not 8 or 7. So your advice, which I'm hearing, is to just make that next step decision.
Yes, and it's not just you, Dr. Marissa, that gets 6 steps or 6 feet or 6 inches ahead. It is
woman's inches or man's inches. Sorry.
Everyone tends to do that. Everyone tends to play ahead because, you know, we read these fairy tales as little kids. We watch these rom-coms, and the way that our brains process information, we always want to get to the ending. We always want to fill in the blank.
Right.
So it's very easy, and I find especially for women, to suddenly play ahead to the end and like, I couldn't ultimately like bring him around my daughters, and so I'm not going to explore this. Yeah. And even with my clients, like they get to the first date and then they're like, well, I don't know ultimately if he wants to have kids or if my mom would like him. And it's like, whoa. All you need to know at the end of the first date is that you want to spend a second date with them.
Yeah.
All you need to know at the end of the second date is that you want to spend a third. Now, if by the third date, chemistry doesn't develop or you can't start to see a continuation of the relationship, then I say that's a good time to go your separate ways. But I find the speed of dating is the thing that has changed the most since I became a dating coach. I've been doing this. I started writing profiles 15 years ago. And the speed is the thing that's shifted the most. But the thing is, now we're dating multiple people at the same time. We're all on fast forward, and we're trying to thin slice because we're so distracted. We want to know too much right away so that we don't waste time. That's the thing I hear all the time from my clients. Well, I don't want to waste time on dates with the wrong person. How do you know it's the wrong person if you haven't actually gone along the journey? So I'll give you one concrete tip for you and your listeners. If they find that they're always in the place of fast forwarding, I actually use the principles of improv to help my clients on dates. Because in improv, you don't know what's going to happen. You can't play the end of the story because it's unfolding in real time, just like a date is. So you don't have to know the answer. You don't have to know where it's headed. All you have to do is stay in the moment and listen and then listen and then respond to what is happening right there in real time. And so you can do this through like taking an improv class. You can take an improv class online. I have Dates and Mates episodes where I do improv classes. I do this in my coaching programs. And the other thing that you can do is actually meditation. So, you know, one is a very external, the improv is very external. The meditation is very internal, but it keeps your mind from leapfrogging steps and helps you to focus, come back to the present moment that you're in.
Beautiful. Great advice. You're getting a lot of thumbs up on the chat line. And Camellia says she loves you. I love this woman. So that's wonderful. And I just got the signal from fabulous Tony Sweet that it is time for the commercial break to thank those who make this show possible. And if you'd like to be a sponsor of this, if you're like-minded and love-hearted, then please do contact me for COVID rates, which are bottom low, so that I can help you be the best that you can be and broadcast it. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Mommy, What Are Feelings? A children's book written by Dr. Marissa Pay and illustrated by her two beautiful inside and out daughters, Chloe May and Sarah Way, when they were 5 and 7. And this book is to help kids realize the vibrant color, the beautiful sound, the tantalizing touch, and delicious taste of feelings. And if you would like a copy of that book, there is one more promo. The video with me talking. Tony, you can line that up. But the Mommy What Are Feelings book is available right now on drmarissa.life, and all proceeds to it go to my nonprofit 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. All right, so the next promo is Happy Holidays. Hi, it's Dr. Marissa. You know me as the host of Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA for almost the last 8 years, but I have a question for you today. Do you have what it takes to be a radio host? Have you always wanted to be on the air? Do you have a show idea? Well, you get to answer that question with KCAA's version of The Voice called The Host. On Wednesday, December the 30th, we're holding auditions on the air at 4 p.m. to see if it might be a good idea for you to join me on the station that leaves no listener behind. Go to www.nbcradionews.com to register. Space is limited, and the first prize winner gets $4,400. Studio airtime, studio engineering, PR, and coaching from yours truly. So register today, nbcradionews.com. And in the meantime, have the best holiday ever. And welcome back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon for the past 451 consecutive weeks. And then Saturdays at 6 on my NBC News Radio channel, syndicated KCAA, AM, FM, home to Dave Ramsey and the Asian Oprah. And today we have a delightful guest talking to us about the reality of dating and sex and romance and how to do it safely. Safe sex has never had a new meeting like it is now. How do we connect when we have to stay 6 feet apart? So the whole reach out and touch someone is getting a new facelift. So Damona Hoffman, welcome back. So delighted to have you. And you truly, yes, we have grown up together here at UBN Go. And I'm so happy to get the advice and also now be really like, okay, let's start at ground zero. I've decided I want to date during the pandemic. Now what do I do?
You sign up for a dating app, first of all.
Okay.
Are we okay with that? Or do we need to unpack that?
We have to unpack everything, Damona. You know me better than that. What would you be your top 3 dating app recommendations?
So this is tricky because finding the right app is really as personal as finding the right match. So it really depends on your personal preference, what you're looking for. Each app has a different dating pool and has a different set of tools and functionality. So for example, if you like I like to do the choosing. I'm a maximizer. I like to know all my options. Like I'm the kind of gal that when I plan a trip, like back when we could take trips, I want to see every hotel. I want to make sure that I'm getting the very best one.
Recovering control freak. Mm-hmm.
Oh, not recovering.
I resemble that. Oh, okay.
So I like having a lot of options in dating as well. So if I was still single, I would be on an app where you can search like like OkCupid or Match, where you have like a ton of people available to you, but you also know a lot of information about the people. If you're like, I don't really know about this, I just want to kind of dip my toe in the water and see, then a swipe app like a Tinder or a Bumble would be a great starting point. And that's where I start a lot of my clients as well. Now, if you are overwhelmed, I have clients that are like, Damona, I cannot be doing all this searching and messaging, and it's overwhelming. I have them go to a more curated app like an eHarmony or a Coffee Meets Bagel, where you're not getting tons and tons and tons of matches and you're not having to go in and sort and swipe. You actually get them delivered to you on a daily or weekly basis. And then the selection's done for you. Yeah, the Postmates of but a lot of people still to this day tell me, when I say you have to be on dating apps, they're like, oh, but Damona, I don't like dating apps. I don't like dating that way. I would rather meet someone IRL. And I'm glad to know that you're getting
IRL.
approached. Oh, sorry. In real life.
In
Offline,
real life. Oh,
you know, people have this fantasy of the way it's supposed to go down. And like I'm now on the Drew Barrymore Show. I'm their dating expert for her Love Bugs segment.
Yay.
Thank you. And it's great because it's, you know, it's getting much needed advice to a bigger audience. But then there are people, you know, now I get like some of the weirdest hate mail / fan mail. Like I got the worst message from someone that was like, online dating is trashy. I can't believe you're telling people to date in that way. And it's just like, look, I tell people the truth. The truth is, that's how the majority of people are matching today. So you can sit there and say like, well, I don't like dating apps. You can also sit there and say, I don't like cell phones. I prefer, you know, calling the operator and having her connect my calls for me. But you're not going to make a lot of connections. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
well, you can't go to a bar anymore, right? So that definitely took that out of it.
But most of my clients weren't meeting people for relationships in bars. They haven't been doing that for over a decade, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been the trend for a long time.
Yeah.
So get on board with it, especially in the time of COVID, because that's where everybody is. So now we're on the dating app. Then now we're on the app. Then we have to figure out how to get off the app. Because that's really what it ultimately is.
Eye candy, you know, this business of eye candy. And that's the thing. Is it really that healthy to make judgments just on looks? Yes or no?
Healthy? No. Natural? Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's how we're wired. And that's how it is in real life too. So people are like, oh, but dating apps, everybody's making the decisions in a split second. Hello, that's how everybody did it before when you were offline. So let's stop blaming the dating app. The dating app is just a manifestation of our society and how we do everything else anyway. Mm-hmm. Let's just accept it as a tool that is opening up the possibility for you to meet someone anywhere in the world. Like we go back a couple of generations and most people met someone that lived within a 5-mile radius of their house. So if you didn't go to church with them, if your mom didn't know them, if they didn't live down the street, that's it.
Right.
If you were divorced and you had kids and your social circle was already set, you had to like wait for somebody to die and to be or their husband be available, or like go trolling at your kid's school to find a guy, which that wasn't good, right? So
romance ambulance chaser.
Right. So now we have the possibility to meet someone at any age, at any place.
Right.
To me, that's a lot of opportunity, and especially for women who have never really had this much choice in dating before.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up that word choice. I'm glad, and I love the framing of it as an opportunity rather than a pain in the fork. So, Ash, sorry. Why does it seem, and I got this question right now in my messaging. So she'll remain nameless, but she says, why is it that all the guys that I choose or like on the app don't respond, and all the ones that choose me are ugly? that's her, you know, and I've heard that before. It's not just her. So it's like that whole, you know, everlasting BS of, you know, you like the people who don't like you, and people who like you, you're not attracted to them. So speak to that.
Well, one, you confirmed one part of the point, that dating apps are just a microcosm of what was already happening before. It's just now amplified and on speed. So that is a thing that happens in the real world. There are people that you like that aren't going to like you back. There are people who like you who you're not going to like back. But it's all about the focus as well. If you focus on all these guys that are sending you messages that you don't want, and then you're pining for those 3 guys that you messaged, because most women still don't message men and don't take initiative, even though I've been saying this for 15 years and the stats continue to confirm it. I work with Match, I work with OkCupid. Their stats show that women who initiate messages and who sort of drive the connection forward have more success on dating apps and are moving offline and into relationships. And yet people are like, but chivalry, but I don't want to do that. So you have to take control of your dating destiny, and you also have to focus on the things that are happening that are right rather than the things that are wrong. So fixate on those guys that you don't want to message back, then that's all you're going to see. And if you up your output, because their average response rate is about 30%. So if you're matching with people, and it's a little different now because now we have swipe apps, but then we also have the more traditional sites. But say you reach out to 10 people, you like 10 people, 2 to 3 of them are going to like you back. So are you going to focus on 7 that didn't like you back? Or are you going to focus on the 3 that you actually have a connection with? Because how many are you ultimately looking for? Probably 1. So don't worry about those.
Or in my case, a half. So,
yeah.
So, okay. So that makes a lot of sense. But then now I'm going to go to another common BS belief system that someone will say, who was probably raised in the school, the romance school of Cinderella or Snow White. It's like, why is this so much work? Like, why do I mean, this is just, it's a full-time job, for God's sakes. So what happened to the, you know, eyes meet across the restaurant that's not open, to, you know, feel that, and then, you know, is it really necessary to have this process to go through?
Well, I would say, how many things of value have you gotten in your life that required little to no effort?
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, it does take, I won't say even work, because, you know, people also say relationships are work. The wrong relationships are work. The right relationships are an invitation to show up and to evolve. And I look at dating the same way. I'm very honest about the fact that it takes time. It takes focus, but 90% of the people who went through my program last year, which is a 3-month program, 90% of them ended up in a relationship, dating someone exclusively by the end of 3 months. So I'm not asking people to commit for their entire life, because it's like, it's sort of like COVID, Dr. Marissa. Like, we can halfway wear masks and kind of sort of social distance and do it halfway and be in lockdown for 9 to 10 months to a year. Or we could do it 100% for 6 weeks and eradicate COVID and move on with our life. So if you want to drag it out, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you really
totally
want to make it a priority, you can shift things very quickly. And, you know, I know we only have a little bit of time left, so I also want to address the COVID element. If you're cool with that.
Cool. Go.
So now the majority of the first dates are happening virtually, which is a little bit different. And it's not my favorite way. Like, my philosophy has always been move offline as quickly as possible, because all of the stories you hear of the little old lady who got all of her money taken by somebody she met online, or the catfish that you saw on MTV that ended up being 300 pounds heavier than they pretended to be in the first place. Those are all situations where the person never met. They were in a fantasy relationship. So we have to move things into the real world. So the substitute for that right now is just like you and I are connecting right now.
Yeah.
It's a virtual date. And I have my clients make the virtual dates feel like real dates. Don't just like casually like, let's just FaceTime tonight. You know, whatever happens, happens. Really do it with purpose and with clarity until you can move offline and into the real world. A lot of my clients were doing social distance dates for a long time. Now we have a compound issue, which I told them was coming, of the weather changing in many people in places other than where you are in beautiful Southern California have cold weather to deal with. And then they also have the COVID situation of not being able to do a date indoors. But I have a client just this week that had a second date out at a snowy wildlife preserve, and they put on their hats and their masks and they walked side by side and had a great time. So it's totally possible. It's all about the mindset.
And I already have people saying, how do we find her? They want to know more about your program.
So you can find me at datesandmates.com. That is the hub for my podcast. And that's also the name of my podcast, Dates and Mates, which is probably airing wherever you are listening to this show right now. And I have a lot of things coming up. In January, I'll be doing a women, actually, this is my first co-ed circle. I usually do it with women, but this time it's co-ed for the first time in 6 years. And I'll be doing a lot of exercises and workshops and accountability in this dating circle. And that's available at thedatingsecret.com. And I have early bird pricing going on right now. So if you're interested in joining us.
Asian Oprah giveaway is the early bird pricing for sure.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much, Damona Hoffman, host of Dates and Mates. You've got to go tune in. Her pearls of wisdom even has me thinking about getting an app. So thank you so much for coming. So glad. Happy holidays.
Same to you.
And it's at the end of the show when I ask you to step up to my balance bar and join all of the different places that you get to participate in, because you are in my Happy 88 tribe. So the first thing is story time. The Mommy What Her Feelings book is I'm so blessed with all of the positive reactions to this book about feelings. So we're having another story time on December the 27th. And all you need to do is donate $20 at my website for my nonprofit, which is 8 Ways to Happiness 501c. And then you get a Zoom address I will read the story to you and your children. And we have them from all over the world. So it's been fabulous. So get that. And it's a great holiday gift as well. I'll be speaking at USC Town and Gown event, a very important mental health panel day. You can get all of that on my events. Don't forget to register at NBCRadioNews.com for The Host, the show that I am auditioning people who really want to have a show or thought they have an idea for a show or think they have the shy kind of personality. Sarcasm is another service I offer to be on the air like I am. And so that happens on December 30th. I'll send you an email once you register at www.nbcradionews.com, and that's on KCAA, my syndicated NBC channel. And let's see, Mondays, still doing my Mind Your Own Business with Dr. Marissa, Happy 88 tools, free for anybody that tunes in. And please, please, please subscribe at my YouTube channel for all of my past shows that you can enjoy and vote for, and just get that splatter of hope and happiness on. Drink my rose-colored Kool-Aid from your hashtag positively opinionated Dr. Marissa, because it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live, broadcasting live from UBN Go, live, Burbank, California, signing out.